Welcome back to part 2 of our series on financial literacy. According to a survey conducted by the Federal Reserve Board, about 46% of adults in the US would be unable to cover a $400 or 1,500 dirham emergency expense without borrowing money or selling assets. This indicates that around half of all adults, at least in the US, spend more than they earn each month, leaving them with little to no savings at all. If I had to guess from my experience in the UAE, it would be the same here, if not worse. Living within your means simply means you spend less than you earn. Like we said in the last video, this is the first step in becoming financially literate. Living outside of your means is what it sounds like. You spend more than you earn. This leads to debt accumulation where you owe other people or the bank money, and it leads to an individual having no savings. So, how do we get there to a place where we're living within our means? This is where we introduced the concept of a budget in the last video. If spending less than you earn is the foundation, then using a budget is the cornerstone of that foundation. A budget will help you track your expenses each month, categorize them so you know what you spend your money on, set spending limits so you know when you have spent all you're able to spend in a category, and most importantly, set a savings target each month to help you achieve your financial goals. To help you easily create a budget and track your expenses, there are many free budgeting mobile applications, budgeting websites, or if you want to do what I do, Google Sheets has a pre-made budget template that is super easy to use. You can find it in the templates gallery, and it looks kind of like this. You can access it on your phone as well, so it's super easy to update. If you have set a monthly income or wage, tracking your income is easy on a budget. It's the same each month. If you have a variable income, like if you earn commission each month and it's different depending on your performance in your role, then you'll need to manually update that part each month before finalizing your profit or loss based on how much you earned. The hardest part of keeping a budget is tracking your expenses. To keep track effectively, every time you spend money, you need to manually add that expense into your expense tracker on your budget. This takes some getting used to, but if you use an app or Google Sheets, you can do it right then and there when you spend something, and it'll take you literally 10 seconds to enter it in on your phone. The other option is to get a banking app that links to your bank's credit or debit card, so every time you spend money, that expense automatically gets recorded and then placed into its category. This sounds ideal and can ensure you don't miss any expenses you might miss if you do it manually, but I've found that doing it manually every time I spend money actually helps me be more aware of what I'm spending money on and helps me make better decisions every day, not just at the end of the month. The reason we want to keep track of our expenses for the full month is to gain insight into our spending habits. This is the only way we can identify areas for improvement. Just by looking at the total expenses under each category at the end of your first month of budgeting, you will be shocked how much money you spend in certain categories you didn't even know existed. This will also help you to distinguish between what we call needs or essential expenses and wants, or what we call discretionary expenses. Essential expenses are things like basic necessities. Fixed expenses, right? Non-negotiables. This includes maybe expenses required for basic well-being, such as food, shelter, clothing, healthcare. Recurring expenses, right, are essential, like rent or mortgage payments, utilities, insurance premiums, even debt repayments if you have any. On the other side, wants or discretionary expenses is everything else. These usually fall under non-essential items like eating out, variable expenses like buying new clothes or luxuries, like that new handbag maybe, or that staycation at the Atlantis, or maybe even the latest iPhone. You can ask yourself these questions to find out which category an expense falls into. Is it necessary for survival? Can it be postponed or eliminated? Does it align with your priorities and values? Does this expense represent short-term gratification, or does it align with my long-term goals? In the next video, we'll talk a bit more about lifestyle inflation, which has become a bit of an epidemic all over the world, but especially here in Dubai. So, to summarize, live within your means. Do so by keeping a budget each month and analyze your spending to determine if you are spending your money on needs or wants. All of this is leading to a point of financial literacy and financial freedom. So follow and subscribe to not miss the rest of this series. Thanks for watching this video. If you guys wish you could own a full property, but you're just not there yet financially, you can actually own just a fraction of a property, 20,000, 30,000 dirhams to start off with, and get monthly revenue from that right away. It's a company called Prop.com. You can learn more about them in the comments.